While most people think plants need dirt to survive, there's a secret world of botanical rebels that have completely abandoned the traditional soil-based lifestyle. These aren't just exotic laboratory experiments or futuristic farming fantasies. These are real plants that have evolved to thrive without ever touching a grain of soil. They're nature's ultimate survivors, floating through air, clinging to trees, and growing in ways that would make traditional gardeners question everything they thought they knew about plant biology. Some of these green revolutionaries have been living soil-free for millions of years, while others have been secretly growing in your own home without you even realizing they don't need dirt to survive. Number 20. Spanish moss. Let's start with something that looks like nature's own Halloween decoration, but is actually one of the most successful soil-free plants on Earth: Spanish moss. This ghostly gray plant drapes from trees throughout the American South like ancient curtains, and it's so abundant that people often assume it's just part of the tree. But here's the mind-blowing truth. Spanish moss isn't moss at all, and it doesn't take a single nutrient from the trees it hangs on. Spanish moss is actually a bromeliad, a cousin of the pineapple, that has completely abandoned the ground-dwelling lifestyle. Instead of roots that dig into soil, it has tiny scales that capture moisture and nutrients directly from the air. It's like having a plant that survives entirely on atmospheric soup, filtering everything it needs from humidity, rain, and airborne particles. What makes Spanish moss absolutely fascinating is how it spreads without ever touching the ground. Birds carry pieces from tree to tree, wind blows fragments across landscapes, and each tiny piece can grow into a full plant as long as it lands somewhere with enough humidity. It's like nature's own viral marketing campaign, spreading through the air and colonizing entire forests without ever needing to establish traditional root systems. The really remarkable thing about Spanish moss is how it has completely reimagined what it means to be a plant. While other plants compete for soil nutrients and root space, Spanish moss has claimed the entire atmosphere as its growing medium. It's literally living in three-dimensional space, using trees as nothing more than support structures while it harvests everything it needs from the air around it. Number 19. Tillandsia, air plants. Air plants are like living sculptures that have decided soil is completely overrated. These incredible bromeliads come in hundreds of varieties, each more alien-looking than the last. And they all share one revolutionary trait. They can live their entire lives without ever touching dirt. They're nature's answer to the question, what if plants could be as independent as possible? What makes air plants absolutely extraordinary is their specialized scales called trichomes that cover their leaves like microscopic solar panels. These scales can rapidly absorb moisture from the air and capture nutrients from dust, pollen, and organic debris that floats by. It's like having a plant covered in tiny mouths that can eat the atmosphere itself. The diversity of air plants is staggering. Some look like spiky alien creatures, others resemble delicate silver jewelry, and still others form cascading curtains of ethereal beauty. They can survive in environments from humid rainforests to arid deserts, adapting their water collection strategies to whatever atmospheric conditions they encounter. Here's what's really incredible about air plants. They've evolved to be completely self-sufficient aerial ecosystems. Some species can go months without water, others can survive temperatures that would kill traditional plants, and many can reproduce and spread without ever establishing ground-based root systems. They're like botanical astronauts, perfectly adapted for life in the three-dimensional space above the Earth's surface. Number 18. Staghorn fern. Staghorn ferns are nature's living wall art, massive, prehistoric-looking plants that grow directly on tree trunks and walls without ever needing soil. These extraordinary epiphytes have completely redesigned the concept of root systems, developing specialized structures that can capture nutrients from air, rain, and organic debris that accumulates around them. What makes staghorn ferns absolutely remarkable is their dual leaf system that works like a natural composting and water collection facility. They have flat, shield-like leaves that press against their mounting surface and collect falling organic matter, creating their own nutrient-rich compost pile. Meanwhile, their dramatic antler-shaped fronds extend outward to maximize surface area for photosynthesis and water collection. The really incredible thing about staghorn ferns is how they've turned other plants into their personal support system. In nature, they grow on trees in tropical forests, but they're not parasites. They're completely self-sufficient tenants that actually benefit their host trees by creating small ecosystems that attract beneficial insects and birds. Staghorn ferns can grow to enormous sizes without ever touching the ground, some specimens reaching 6 feet across and weighing hundreds of pounds. They're like living architecture that builds itself in mid-air, creating dramatic natural sculptures that challenge everything we think we know about how plants should grow and where they should live. Number 17. Orchids, epiphytic varieties. Epiphytic orchids are the aristocrats of the soil-free plant world. Incredibly beautiful, seemingly delicate, but actually tough-as-nails survivors that have mastered the art of aerial living. These aren't your typical potted orchids from the flower shop. These are wild orchids that spend their entire lives perched on tree branches, rock faces, and other elevated surfaces without ever touching soil. What makes epiphytic orchids absolutely fascinating is their specialized root system that functions completely differently from ground-dwelling plants. Their roots are covered in a spongy tissue called velamen that can rapidly absorb moisture from air and rain, while also providing structural support for the plant. It's like having roots that are simultaneously sponges, anchor systems, and nutrient processors. The diversity of epiphytic orchids is mind-boggling. There are over 20,000 species worldwide, each adapted to specific atmospheric conditions and mounting surfaces. Some have roots that can photosynthesize like leaves, others have pseudobulbs that store water for months, and many have developed intricate relationships with specific insects and birds that help them reproduce in their aerial environments. Here's what's really extraordinary about epiphytic orchids. They've evolved to be incredibly efficient at capturing and using atmospheric resources. Many species can survive on nothing but morning dew and occasional rainfall, while others have developed specialized structures that can capture and concentrate nutrients from the smallest amounts of organic debris that drifts by on air currents. Number 16. Boston fern. Boston ferns might look like traditional houseplants, but they're actually incredible examples of how plants can thrive in soilless environments when given the right conditions. These lush, cascading ferns are perfectly adapted for growing in hanging baskets, mounted displays, and hydroponic systems where they can access nutrients without ever touching traditional soil. What makes Boston ferns remarkable soil-free survivors is their incredibly efficient root system that can extract nutrients from almost any growing medium. They can thrive in pure sphagnum moss, coconut coir, perlite, or even just water with dissolved nutrients. It's like having a plant that's completely flexible about its nutritional source, as long as it can access moisture and basic minerals. The really interesting thing about Boston ferns is how they've adapted to be perfect indoor air purifiers that don't need soil to do their job. NASA studies have shown that Boston ferns can remove formaldehyde, xylene, and other harmful chemicals from indoor air while growing happily in artificial growing mediums that would kill traditional soil-dependent plants. Boston ferns reproduce through spores and runners, which means they can spread and create new plants without ever needing to establish traditional root systems in soil. They're like living air filters that can multiply and expand their air cleaning capacity while growing in completely artificial environments. Number 15. Pothos. Pothos is the ultimate proof that some plants are so adaptable they can literally grow anywhere except soil and still thrive. This incredibly popular houseplant can live indefinitely in nothing but water, making it one of the easiest and most dramatic examples of soil-free plant growing that anyone can try at home. What makes pothos absolutely incredible is its ability to develop two completely different types of root systems depending on its environment. In soil, it grows traditional underground roots, but in water or air, it develops aerial roots that can absorb nutrients directly from liquid solutions or atmospheric moisture. It's like having a plant that can completely redesign its biology based on available resources. The growth rate of pothos in soilless conditions is absolutely stunning. Vines can grow several feet in a single season when provided with proper nutrients in water or hydroponic solutions. The plant seems to actually prefer soilless growing conditions, often growing faster and more vigorously than soil-grown specimens because it can access nutrients more directly. Here's what's really remarkable about pothos. It can propagate indefinitely in water, creating new plants from cuttings that never need to touch soil. You can literally create an entire garden of pothos plants using nothing but water, liquid fertilizer, and cuttings from existing plants. It's like botanical cloning that anyone can do in their kitchen. Number 14. Lucky bamboo. Lucky bamboo isn't actually bamboo at all. It's a member of the lily family that has become one of the most popular examples of soil-free plant growing. These elegant plants can live for years in nothing but water, creating beautiful displays that challenge traditional ideas about what plants need to survive and thrive. What makes lucky bamboo absolutely fascinating is how it has been cultivated for centuries to grow in water-only environments. Traditional Chinese horticulture developed techniques for growing these plants in decorative containers filled with nothing but water and pebbles, creating living sculptures that could survive indefinitely without soil. The really remarkable thing about lucky bamboo is its incredibly efficient water-based root system that can extract all necessary nutrients from properly balanced liquid solutions. The roots develop specialized structures that can process dissolved minerals and nutrients with incredible efficiency, allowing the plant to grow and even reproduce in purely aquatic environments. Lucky bamboo can be shaped, braided, and manipulated into incredible artistic forms while growing in water, creating living art pieces that demonstrate how plants can be completely separated from traditional soil-based growing while still maintaining their natural beauty and biological functions. Number 13. Philodendron. Philodendrons are like the Swiss Army knives of the plant world, incredibly versatile tropical plants that can adapt to almost any growing condition, except they absolutely don't need soil to thrive. These gorgeous plants can grow in water, hydroponic systems, or mounted displays, making them perfect examples of how traditional houseplants can be transformed into soil-free growing adventures. What makes philodendrons absolutely extraordinary is their natural epiphytic heritage. In their native tropical environments, many species grow on trees and rocks without ever touching soil. They have evolved specialized aerial roots that can absorb nutrients from air, rain, and organic debris, making them perfectly adapted for soil-less growing conditions. The diversity of philodendrons that can grow without soil is staggering. From heart-shaped pothos-like varieties to massive split-leaf monsters that can grow 8 feet tall in pure hydroponic solutions. Each species has developed unique adaptations that allow them to thrive in soil-less environments while maintaining their dramatic tropical appearance. Here's what's really incredible about philodendrons. They can actually grow better in soil-less conditions than in traditional potting soil because they can access nutrients more directly and don't have to deal with soil-borne diseases or pests. Many hydroponic growers report faster growth, larger leaves, and more vibrant colors when growing philodendrons in water-based systems. Number 12. Spider plant. Spider plants are nature's ultimate proof that some plants are so determined to survive and reproduce that they'll abandon soil entirely if it gives them an advantage. These incredibly resilient plants can not only grow in water indefinitely, but can also produce dozens of baby plants that never need to touch soil to establish themselves. What makes spider plants absolutely remarkable is their unique reproduction strategy that creates perfect soil-free growing opportunities. The plant sends out long runners called stolons that develop baby plants at their tips, and these babies can root and grow in nothing but water or air. It's like having a plant that creates its own soil-less nursery system. The really fascinating thing about spider plants is how they've evolved to be incredibly efficient at air purification while growing in soil-less conditions. NASA research has shown that spider plants can remove formaldehyde and xylene from indoor air while thriving in hydroponic systems, making them perfect examples of functional soil-free growing. Spider plants can create cascading displays of baby plants that root in water or air, creating living curtains of greenery that demonstrate how plants can establish entire ecosystems without ever needing traditional soil. It's like botanical magic that anyone can experience by simply putting spider plant runners in water. Number 11. English ivy. English ivy is like nature's own living wallpaper, a climbing plant that has completely mastered the art of growing on vertical surfaces without ever needing soil. This incredible vine can cover entire buildings, walls, and structures while getting all its nutrients from air, rain, and organic debris that accumulates on its growing surfaces. What makes English ivy absolutely extraordinary is its specialized climbing root system. that can both support the plant's weight and absorb nutrients from whatever surface it's growing on. These aerial roots can extract minerals from concrete, bark, stone, and other surfaces, while also providing incredibly strong attachment points. The really remarkable thing about English ivy is how it can transform any vertical surface into a living ecosystem. The plant creates its own microenvironment that attracts beneficial insects, birds, and other wildlife while also providing natural insulation and air purification for buildings and structures. English ivy can grow to enormous sizes without ever touching soil, some specimens covering thousands of square feet of surface area, while getting all their nutrients from atmospheric sources. It's like having a plant that can turn any structure into a living, breathing organism that improves air quality and provides habitat for wildlife. Number 10. Snake plant. Snake plants are like the ultimate survivalists of the plant world. Incredibly tough, drought-resistant plants that can thrive in almost any soilless growing condition you can imagine. These architectural beauties can grow in water, hydroponic systems, or even pure sand, making them perfect examples of how desert-adapted plants can excel in soil-free environments. What makes snake plants absolutely incredible is their highly efficient water and nutrient storage system that allows them to survive in minimal resource environments. Their thick, succulent leaves can store water for months, while their roots can extract nutrients from incredibly dilute solutions, making them perfect for hydroponic growing. The really fascinating thing about snake plants is how they've evolved to be natural air purifiers that work even better in soilless conditions. Research has shown that snake plants can remove toxins from indoor air while growing in pure water or hydroponic solutions, making them functional as well as beautiful soil-free plants. Snake plants can reproduce through division and leaf cuttings in soilless environments, creating new plants that never need to touch soil. They're like living air filters that can multiply and expand their air cleaning capacity while growing in completely artificial environments. Number 9. Monstera deliciosa. Monstera deliciosa is like a tropical giant that has completely abandoned ground-dwelling life in favor of climbing and aerial growing. This spectacular plant can grow to enormous sizes, while getting all its nutrients from air, rain, and organic debris that accumulates on its climbing surfaces. What makes Monstera absolutely extraordinary is its natural epiphytic lifestyle. In tropical rainforests, these plants climb trees and rocks without ever establishing traditional root systems in soil. They have evolved specialized aerial roots that can absorb nutrients from air and organic matter, while also providing structural support for the plant's massive leaves. The really incredible thing about Monstera is how it can adapt its growth pattern based on available support structures and nutrient sources. In soilless growing conditions, the plant can develop more aerial roots, larger leaves, and faster growth rates than soil-grown specimens because it can access nutrients more directly. Monstera can be grown hydroponically or mounted on supports where it creates dramatic displays of split leaves and aerial roots that demonstrate how tropical plants can thrive without ever touching soil. It's like having a piece of tropical rainforest that can grow in your living room using nothing but water and liquid nutrients. Number 8. Rubber tree. Rubber trees are like botanical transformers, plants that can completely change their growing strategy from soil-based to aerial depending on environmental conditions. These incredible trees can grow as epiphytes on other plants or in hydroponic systems, where they develop entirely different root structures and growth patterns. What makes rubber trees absolutely remarkable is their incredible adaptability to different growing environments. They can develop aerial roots that absorb nutrients from air and rain, water roots that extract nutrients from liquid solutions, or traditional soil roots depending on what's available. It's like having a plant that can redesign its entire biology based on circumstances. The really fascinating thing about rubber trees is how they can grow to impressive sizes in soilless conditions, while maintaining their characteristic glossy leaves and structural integrity. Many indoor growers report better growth rates and fewer pest problems when growing rubber trees in hydroponic systems compared to traditional soil. Rubber trees can be propagated through air layering and water rooting, creating new plants that can establish themselves in soilless environments. They're like living demonstrations of how tropical trees can adapt to any growing condition as long as they have access to basic nutrients and water. Number 7. Peace lily. Peace lilies are like elegant water goddesses that have completely mastered the art of aquatic living. These beautiful flowering plants can grow indefinitely in water-only environments, while maintaining their dramatic blooms and lush foliage, making them perfect examples of how flowering plants can thrive without soil. What makes peace lilies absolutely extraordinary is their highly efficient water-based root system that can extract all necessary nutrients from properly balanced liquid solutions. The roots develop specialized structures that can process dissolved minerals with incredible efficiency, allowing the plant to flower and reproduce in purely aquatic environments. The really remarkable thing about peace lilies is how they actually seem to prefer water-based growing conditions over traditional soil. Many growers report more frequent blooming, larger flowers, and healthier foliage when growing peace lilies in hydroponic systems or pure water with liquid fertilizer. Peace lilies can be easily transitioned from soil to water growing, and once established, they can continue flowering and growing for years without ever needing to return to soil. They're like living proof that some plants are naturally adapted for aquatic lifestyles, even though they're typically grown in soil. Number 6. Heartleaf philodendron. Heartleaf philodendrons are like the ultimate example of how tropical vines can completely abandon soil-based living in favor of aerial and aquatic lifestyles. These charming plants can grow indefinitely in water, while producing the same heart-shaped leaves and trailing vines that make them popular houseplants. What makes heartleaf philodendrons absolutely incredible is their natural epiphytic heritage that makes them perfectly adapted for soil-less growing. In their native tropical environments, these plants climb trees and grow on rocks without ever establishing traditional root systems in soil. The really fascinating thing about heartleaf philodendrons is how they can adapt their root development based on growing conditions. In water, they develop white, fleshy roots that are incredibly efficient at nutrient absorption. In air, they can develop aerial roots that can absorb moisture and nutrients from atmospheric sources. Heartleaf philodendrons can be propagated indefinitely in water, creating new plants from cuttings that never need to touch soil. They're like living demonstrations of how tropical plants can create entire ecosystems in soil-less environments while maintaining their natural beauty and growth patterns. Number 5. Arrowhead plant. Arrowhead plants are like shape-shifting aquatic specialists that completely transform their appearance and growing strategy when moved from soil to water. These remarkable plants can grow indefinitely in aquatic environments while developing entirely different leaf shapes and growth patterns than their soil-grown counterparts. What makes arrowhead plants absolutely extraordinary is their incredible adaptability to aquatic environments. When grown in water, they develop different leaf shapes, more compact growth, and specialized root systems that are perfectly adapted for nutrient extraction from liquid solutions. The really incredible thing about arrowhead plants is how they can transition between terrestrial and aquatic lifestyles depending on environmental conditions. In nature, these plants often grow in wetlands and flood-prone areas where they regularly experience both soil-based and water-based growing conditions. Arrowhead plants can be grown as floating aquatic plants or rooted in aquatic systems where they create beautiful displays of changing leaf shapes and growth patterns. They're like living demonstrations of how plants can completely redesign themselves based on available growing conditions. Number 4. Water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is like nature's own floating garden, a spectacular aquatic plant that has completely abandoned soil-based living in favor of floating on water surfaces. These incredible plants can grow and reproduce rapidly in pure water, while creating beautiful purple flowers and lush foliage displays. What makes water hyacinth absolutely remarkable is its specialized floating root system that can extract nutrients directly from water while also providing structural support for the plant. The roots hang down into the water like natural filters, processing nutrients and helping to clean the water they're growing in. The really fascinating thing about water hyacinth is how it can reproduce and spread rapidly in aquatic environments, creating floating islands of vegetation that demonstrate how plants can establish entire ecosystems without ever needing soil. It's like having a plant that can colonize any body of water and turn it into a floating garden. Water hyacinth can improve water quality by absorbing excess nutrients and providing oxygen, making it both beautiful and functional in aquatic environments. It's like having a living water treatment system that also produces gorgeous flowers and provides habitat for aquatic wildlife. Number 3. Duckweed. Duckweed is like nature's ultimate minimalist. Tiny floating plants that have reduced growing to its absolute essentials, while completely eliminating any need for soil. These microscopic green plants can cover entire water surfaces while getting all their nutrients directly from the water they're floating on. What makes duckweed absolutely extraordinary is its incredible efficiency. These tiny plants can double their population in just a few days under optimal conditions, while requiring nothing but water and dissolved nutrients. It's like having a plant that has perfected the art of simple living while maximizing growth and reproduction. The really remarkable thing about duckweed is how it can transform any body of water into a living ecosystem that provides oxygen, food for wildlife, and natural water filtration. Despite being one of the smallest flowering plants on Earth, duckweed can create dramatic visual effects when it covers water surfaces. Duckweed can be grown in containers, ponds, or aquariums, where it creates living carpets of green that demonstrate how plants can thrive with minimal resources. It's like having nature's own green carpet that can grow and spread without ever needing soil or complex growing systems. Number 2. Water lettuce. Water lettuce is like floating rosettes of perfection. Beautiful aquatic plants that have completely mastered the art of growing on water surfaces without ever needing soil. These spectacular plants create perfect geometric patterns of light green leaves, while getting all their nutrients from the water they're floating on. What makes water lettuce absolutely incredible is its perfect adaptation to aquatic living. The plant has specialized air-filled tissues that allow it to float perfectly on water surfaces while maintaining its rosette shape and structural integrity. It's like having a plant that's been engineered specifically for water-based growing. The really fascinating thing about water lettuce is how it can reproduce and spread across water surfaces, creating floating gardens that demonstrate how aquatic plants can establish ecosystems without ever needing traditional growing mediums. The plant produces runners that create new rosettes, allowing it to colonize entire water surfaces. Water lettuce can improve water quality by absorbing excess nutrients, while providing beautiful floating displays that work perfectly in water gardens, ponds, and aquariums. It's like having a living water filter that also creates stunning visual effects and provides habitat for aquatic wildlife. Number 1. Water sprite. And for our number 1 plant that can grow without soil, we have water sprite, the ultimate aquatic chameleon that can grow completely submerged in water, floating on water surfaces, or even in humid air environments. This incredible plant has completely abandoned any need for soil while maintaining its ability to grow in multiple different ways, depending on environmental conditions. What makes water sprite absolutely extraordinary is its incredible versatility. It can grow as a floating plant, a submerged aquatic plant, or even as a terrestrial plant in very humid conditions. Each growing environment causes the plant to develop different leaf shapes, root systems, and growth patterns, making it like having 3 different plants in one. The really remarkable thing about water sprite is how it can adapt its entire biology based on available growing conditions. In water, it develops finely divided leaves that maximize surface area for nutrient absorption. When floating, it creates more compact growth with specialized floating roots. In humid air, it can develop aerial roots and more traditional leaf structures. Water sprite can reproduce rapidly in soil-less environments, creating new plants through fragmentation and specialized reproductive structures that allow it to colonize any aquatic environment. It's like having a plant that has completely mastered the art of living without soil while maintaining incredible adaptability and growth potential. These 20 incredible plants prove that soil is just one option in the vast world of plant-growing possibilities. From floating aquatic gardens to aerial epiphytes that live in trees, nature has created countless examples of how plants can thrive, reproduce, and create beautiful displays without ever needing to touch soil. Whether you're interested in hydroponic growing, aquatic gardening, or just want to try something completely different with your houseplants, these soil-free champions offer endless possibilities for creating unique and beautiful growing experiences that challenge everything you thought you knew about how plants should live and grow.